What's going on, guys?
So, real quick, couple things. One thing that really angered me was watching Landon Tengwell's show. He said that there was no sign in Lash Building of the past and or Joe Paterno and Lash when he was there. Landon knew nothing about the history of Penn State, which is extremely sad. I'm not surprised, but that's another reason why we should all be happy that the previous guy is gone. And one thing that made me happy though tonight in his presser, I think it was Neil Rodell came in and he was like, Terry, mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes, and then they laughed and it was like, oh, that was a joke about the Franklin regime, and then people were laughing. I'm like, and then I got mad again. I remembered how annoying that was, and how incredibly mad that made me because I think we just lost to Ohio State, and he's asking people about their Thanksgiving dinner. So, yeah. But you guys remember that?
Yes.
Oh, every time he did it, yeah.
Oh man.
I thought it was funny just because he always did it and it was stupid. So I thought it was funny because it was dumb.
Yeah. And it was always after a big loss too. It's like,
yeah.
But anyway, we move on. Terry Smith, guys. We're going to go across the panel here. There's an argument for him to be the head coach. And I think it's a solid argument for sure. I posted a video yesterday. It was like a collage between him and Franklin on my Instagram, and it's up to, I think it was at, let me see. It is at 222,000 views and almost 12,000 likes. So people liked it apparently. And then I made another one. It was the Wolf of Wall Street scene where he's like, "I'm not leaving," and it's Terry Smith's head. And Brett was saying, because Brett follows all the players, all the recruits. Like Brett knows the size of their pinky finger when they're a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. So, he said a bunch of players liked it.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
So saw Don DeLuca at Giant tonight, just casually. I was like, "What's up, man?" Like,
yeah.
I'm right in the middle of all of it. I'm like, I live right there, so.
Yeah. So, Aaron, what do you think of? And Aaron, you're a long-time Penn State fan, so you know what Penn State means. There's a lot of tradition, like Jared said the other night. What do you think of Terry Smith? What do you think about the Terry Smith situation right now?
I had some time to think about it, and I understand some of the hesitation that people have with, well, he hasn't been an experienced head coach, or he came from Franklin's own, it came from Franklin's own armada here. Are you sure about handing him the reins? And I understand that you look at some of the other schools out there who did that in the past, and it's been a mixed bag. But I also say, if we're going to look at it under a microscope, then look at it under a microscope. And when you do that, there's a lot of things that are very positive and are very different from those other situations where they kept the interims. One of them is Terry Smith is actually an alma mater guy. He is a interim for Penn State. He came up through the coaching of Joe Paterno and his staff, so he knows ball and he knows how ball's supposed to be. And he has been already, unlike a lot of interims in the past, he's been the assistant head coach for a while, which a lot of interims are not. Sometimes they're just pulled from the staffers. The other thing is he's been doing a lot of the recruiting. He's been involved in a huge amount of their recruiting. Basically, since he got to Penn State in 2014, he got right in the weeds with that. So I think if you have him and you keep Terry, or not Terry, keep Ty Lowe and those guys, I feel like the situation there's a lot of positives there, and from what he's put on tape. Now he hasn't had enough tape, obviously, yet. It takes a lot for a coach, right, to figure out who a coach really is. But I think if the tape he's put out there so far is very good. Now, the concern other people would tell you is, well, the players are hyped for him to change. It's a short term, there's a burst of energy from this short term change. Will that still be there once an off season passes and you've got that training drag that goes through? And I understand that. I can see what they're saying. Terry Smith is a football guy, and I don't see him struggling to keep the energy. Like, he just doesn't seem like that kind of guy to me. So.
Yeah. Whose volume am I picking up my voice? I don't know. I just heard it. All right, we're good, I think. Yeah. So, Aaron, for me, this is a very emotional time. That's why I kind of made that collage. It was to give Coach Terry praise if I could. And that's why I made that, because 6 weeks ago, I couldn't have been more disappointed or felt more shame for where my program was. And it's not the program's fault. It was who was leading it. Yeah. And I was extremely upset because I don't want it to go bad for the head coach of Penn State. I don't care who it is, but it was. And I've been calling for him to be gone for years. And then it ended up like this. So to go from that to people chanting his name, first of all, he's a Penn State guy. He's a letterman, like you said. He played for Joe Paterno. That was Penn State. That was Penn State heaven Saturday night. Terry Smith, former player, Joe Paterno product, wearing a Joe Pa 409. We all know, as diehard Penn State fans, Joe did what he had to do in the scandal, and that's it. And he was honoring him, which apparently the last guy did not, which is absolutely pathetic and wrong. And then they beat up Nebraska. The offense looked fantastic. It looked like an 08 offense. And again, like, it was Nebraska. I mean, that's a rivalry, guys. It might not be official, but we don't like Nebraska and they don't like us. Yep. And I saw two Nebraska fans in the gym the other night. It was a father and son, and I went up and talked to them, made sure they felt welcome, because that's what we should do as Penn State fans. But I told them the only red you see around here is at a stoplight. So you guys really stick out. They were wearing Dylan Raiola jerseys, both of them, the father and son. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're Nebraska fans.
Wrong game to go to for that.
Yeah. Yeah. But
homie's hurt.
It was just awesome. And then he walks off the field, Matt from Penn State jerseys. That was for his signs. I'm working on having him on this week. Again, people have been asking me, they're like, you were supposed to have him on the other night. Is he not coming on? I'm like, yeah, he's coming on this week. But Matt's got a family, young kid, so we'll get him back on soon. But yeah, it was just the embrace that they had for him. They were chanting his name. So there's a lot of emotion involved because of where we were. First of all, we've been in a bad place for quite a while in terms of Penn State football because of the way we perform under the previous coach. So, and then it totally crashed and burned. I mean, at the beginning of the year, Brett and I did an episode. I said we could go 12-0, 10-2, or 8-4, and Brett said 8-4 would be a dumpster fire, which is true. And then at one point, 8-4 would have been a very good possibility. So for us, like we would have taken that. So this has been an absolute train wreck. And of course, and I knew it could happen. I've always said it. You went into every game with Joe Paterno knowing you could win. You went into every game with James Franklin knowing you could lose. You're up 10-0 against FIU at halftime. So that's just an example. So the crash and burn, and then to come all the way back. I was on Coach Terry's bandwagon. I already was, but I was fully on after the Iowa game. That was a good game they played. That was a good coached game. And I'm like, this guy's a real coach. I could tell. And it's just gotten better and better. And the offense, again, Saturday, like, I mean, that's like, it brings a tear to my eye. That's how beautiful it was. And you have a freshman quarterback doing what he did, 11 for 12. So there's, again, it's emotional. If he can be the head coach, I'm okay with it. But one, I don't think he will be. Two, he does not have head coaching experience in college football. He's been a corners coach a lot. He was a fantastic old school high school coach in a good football area in Western Pennsylvania. So if he wants it and they can give it to him, if they need to give it to him, okay, I'm cool with it. But I think we should bring in a guy like Bob Chesney, a small school guy. I've said it, bringing a small school guy or an assistant like a Heartline, keep Terry Smith there, and he will help him into the new job. Bob Chesney wins. He took over the reins for Kirk Cignetti. This is just a possibility that we're hearing of lately. But I don't really want a big school guy coming in here like a Kalen DeBoer or, I just want a guy who is hungry to be a big-time coach, not one that's already there. If you leave your school as a head coach to come here and be a head coach, you're probably going to do it to us. Whereas if you're a small school guy like an Eric Morris, Bob Chesney, Brian Hartline, that's your first big-time job, you're probably going to appreciate it more. And you have Terry Smith here already. So I think they need to bring in an outsider and build him into a Penn Stater. That's what I think they need to do. But like Landon said, they need to embrace the tradition of Penn State and tie that into today's game. So if anybody wants to say anything on that or say their piece, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to tag on to what you guys were saying. So the reason it took me a little bit longer to get on the post-game show is I messaged you. I said, I want to see Terry speak. I want to see him with, like after the game, I want to see him in all his glory, because that was a moment for Penn State that we haven't felt. Yeah, we beat Michigan State last week. It was amazing.
See that?
No, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, we beat Michigan State last week. It was a great game. It was amazing, but that wasn't a home game. That wasn't a Terry Smith legacy game. This was a Terry Smith legacy game. Not just getting that one win, but getting two in a row, right? So that's why it took me forever to get on the post-game show, because I wanted to see Terry Smith's post-game show. But I didn't wait for his actual presser. But, yeah, I just wanted to see Terry in all his glory and, see the players, with excitement, lift them up, because they deserve that. The players deserve to win. Terry deserves to win. And one of my favorite things that Terry said, I think it was last week, he was like, yeah, but I haven't been a head coach for college football, but I have been a head coach for high school. And he said, coaching is coaching.
Yeah,
coaching is coaching. And that is a fact as well. So he's a heck of a coach. His halftime speech against Nebraska, you guys saw that? He said –
Michigan State or Nebraska?
No, well, both. But the one for Nebraska, he said, it's 0-0 right now. What y'all just did, that's great, but that doesn't matter. What matters is what happens in the second half. Like, he was talking them up, like, straight motivation, right? Like, you don't go – Franklin would have went in there and be like, good job, guys, we got this. We're going to keep killing them. Like, he would have just said some stupid stuff, right? Terry Smith said, that was great, but that does not matter. What matters is what comes next in the second half. I want to see you out there picking each other up, So like that's the type of coach that I want. I do see the comments about Bob Chesney. That I would be happy with that. Terry Smith is going to stay at Penn State, guys. He's going.
Yeah, he's staying 100%. He's already got the wheels fully rolling on that. So
I mean, that's like almost a week away, though. That's pretty Why would it be announced on a Sunday?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be announced. I said last night
Sunday
to my
isn't
dad,
an announcing day. Think about it. Frankie Boy got fired on a Sunday. It was announced Monday. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Franklin got
no, it was
fired
announced
on
on
Sunday.
Sunday. It was announced on Sunday.
Franklin?
Yeah.
I think it was a Sunday afternoon.
He got fired Saturday night then. Either way.
Yeah, he did. He did. But he was shocked on Sunday that he was let go.
Yeah,
which is
he got fired
BS.
that night. But I don't see them doing an announcement on Sunday. That's just a weird day.
I said to my dad last night, they're going to announce it next Sunday. So.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I was asking some of the guys that I know.
It's going to be after the regular season's over, so Sunday is the day to do it.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, every coach that's been fired this year, it's been on a Sunday. So let's get some positive news this time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Jared, what you had a great piece the other night. So give your thoughts on Terry Smith. You're the I think you're the oldest one in here. So you've been watching Penn State longer than all of us.
Yes. Well, she in 1994. Yeah, no, like so. No, like it's definitely one of the better things that has come along to Penn State, probably since Bill O'Brien took over. I was very excited for him, particularly because he just carried himself like a guy who was actually going to do something great. I know he left, and then we brought in James, and then you listen to his big press release, and he gave the greatest, turd, eating crap, show that I could think of. Like, we were basically eating all of the words he was saying. And it only took, for me personally, it only took until the 2017 Rose Bowl when we lost to USC for me to hate the guy. I was like, I'm done. I don't like this guy. Get someone else in. And I've felt that way ever since. So the whole year, in terms of the trajectory of the Pennsylvania sports, Pittsburgh was going to go to the AFC Championship. The Phillies, the Eagles were going to repeat going to the Super Bowl, and Penn State and Indy Lions were going to go to the National Championship. Everyone in Pennsylvania was going to have a really, really great year. And then none of that happened. Basically, the universe just said, let's do the exact opposite of what we all thought was going to happen. And then the firing happened. And I couldn't believe that they had, excuse my language, the cojones to actually fire him mid-season. That right there that took a lot of guts.
Well, I knew Pat Kraft would do it. I didn't know, but I knew he was capable of doing that for sure. So.
Sandy Barber would have gave him an extension. Yeah,
right. You show the game against Oregon. Yes, it's devastating, and we're done with it. I mean, it's just every single year we come across this game we can't win, and then you do the most asinine thing, and you just allow UCLA to just completely ruin our entire season. You just lost to the worst team pretty much in the Big Ten at the time on the road. Now, again, I don't want to hear any excuses that you guys are jet lagged or you can't, get your guys ready to fly across the country. I don't want to hear any of those excuses. You just came off a really bad loss. You should have used every ounce of your anger to go in there and do something. And no, instead you got Joffrey from Game of Thrones as their head coach doing that stuff to them. Like that was some of the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, and then
it was Golden Arm from Blue Mountain State, Jared. That's who it was, Golden Arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, so then they had the Northwestern game. It was so devastating. That was home. That was at that Penn State soil after all of that devastation. And you just kept piling it on. Nothing was going right. Everything was just devastating. It needed to happen. It needed to happen after Oregon. Honestly, I would have been fine if you had done it at Oregon. But no, you had to wait 2 extra weeks for this nonsense to carry on. And then, as it couldn't get any darker and the worst time of the year, everyone knew it was over. Then Terry Smith was introduced to be the interim head coach. He shows up against Iowa in that hostile environment. That was absolutely one of the best showings I could have asked for, except for a win. Other than that, that right there showed he got those players ready. He got that team to play like a team.
In
All
3
he
days.
cared about was coaching in that game.
In 3
And
days.
then the Ohio State game, we all know the reality of that situation. We all knew that was not going to be the funnest game to watch. But it would have been a much worse game if James Franklin was our coach. It would have been a much more devastating loss. Because, again, the way that he just coaches teams, it just does not look all that pretty. Everyone looks scared. Everyone looks timid. Like, the whole play calling just looks so inept and so confusing and all over the place. But with Ohio State holding them to 38 points, I couldn't ask for a better result because it didn't look embarrassing. None of his losses, outside of seeing that horrible, horrible toe tap last-minute moment in that Indiana, like that's going to live rent-free in a lot of people's heads for quite some time. That's pretty much as devastating as the USC game in 2017. That was one of the worst losses I can think of in the regular season, really, because, again, you had them on the ropes, and you just could not get one stop, well, not one. And then you just see the composure. He kept pushing. He kept fighting. He kept saying, I'm your coach. We just got to keep trying to do something. Yeah, you win against Michigan State because they're one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. You took on Nebraska. They are 7-3. They had to come into your place. And that was the best game I've ever seen them play in probably 2 years. I mean, the whole atmosphere felt great. It was one of the best situations they could have asked for to go into that game for senior night. Everyone had a moment. Everyone had great, great things to look back on that will live forever in their minds as players. When they come back, they will say, what great night we had on senior night. We kept that trophy from the Michigan State game. There's some moments you can have as a senior people who are leaving the state. Sorry, guys, I'm fighting off a cold. But, this ultimately is going to be about how Terry Smith, the guy that was from Penn State, that was under Paterno, that knows all those traditions, that knows all of what you guys have to keep going no matter what. And yes, the Indiana game is one of the worst losses, but you didn't feel like, this was like, we already knew how we felt about it. We already were in that state that it's like, gosh, we just can't find a way to do something great. And then you just see how they're just bouncing back. They're finding ways to be 500, to go to a bowl game potentially. Yeah, so Terry Smith, I mean, my hat's off to you, man, for doing everything you possibly could to keep the Penn State tradition alive, to try to give these guys something to look forward to for the rest of their lives, and potentially set things up for what you need to be as a head coach, whoever it may be. Like, this is the model. You need to look and say, your ego, your inability to get out of your own way, which is James Franklin's biggest thing. He could not get out of his own way to let this team be a team. And Terry, he knows that's the important part. He knows that these guys need to be the biggest priority. They have to prepare these guys. They have to go on that field. They have to prepare for that. And every time you watch it with James Franklin, it was always about me. I mean, the guy was like the Oprah Winfrey of college football coaches. And yet you see Terry Smith, and you knew the tradition of it all comes from how these players are prepared, and then you can piggyback off of their glory. That's how it's supposed to be, guys. It's supposed to be that these players are supposed to be great, and because you knew that you were the one who prepared for them, now he can have that moment too. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, real quick, Jared. Another reason why I like Terry Smith is he's doing something that you just don't really see in today's college football. He's an old school coach, honoring the greatest coach to ever live, Joe Paterno. We're gonna see, because I think this is what we're gonna see. Like, we haven't seen all of what he's going to do. What we're gonna see is we're gonna beat Rutgers. I think we'll do a pregame tomorrow. And then we're going to go to a decent bowl, and we're going to win, I think. And you're going to see this roster not only not transfer, not sit out, not prepare for the NFL draft. They're going to play, which you don't see that today. So if that happens going into our bowl game, then we know, like, dude, we're in such a good spot right now. It's not even funny. If those guys actually play in the bowl game, I mean, you bring in like a Bob Chesney, because to me, if Terry Smith is playing Ohio State right now, even with this roster, I think he has a shot to win. Like year to year, maybe not this year, but year to year, we can win against anybody under Terry Smith. That's how I'm that confident in him. So I think they're going to play this year. And you were saying how after the 2017 Rose Bowl, you were giving up. I had you beat by about a year and a half. So, you guys remember that Minnesota game in 2016 when we won in overtime? Saquon ran it in at the end.
Yes.
Halfway through that game, I was texting Greg Garrity Jr. Or no, I'm sorry. What year was that? Because Greg Garrity was on that team. It was a different. It was
2016, the Minnesota game.
Yeah, it was 16.
Yeah. Greg Garrity was on that team, so I was texting Greg Garrity a different time to fire Franklin. That was, I can't narrow him down. But halfway through that game, I was like, we need to let this guy go because we just lost to Michigan in an atrocious manner, and we're barely beating Minnesota. Now we went on a Cinderella run. And I'm sorry, Jared, I have you beat by about half a year, not a year and a half. 2017 was that year.
Yes.
So halfway through that Minnesota game, I was like, they need to let this guy go. This is never going to change. And it never did. So for years we heard this, we don't have everything. We need this, we need that. We had everything this year. And I mean, it couldn't have gone worse. So
it's funny because Franklin does more with less and does way less with more, which is not a good thing. That's literally that's what happened.
He was big game James, then he's like, I'm going to switch that right now. So
well, and
2016 we weren't supposed to be good, and we were good, and then the years we're supposed to be good, we're just never good. So like, I don't.
If you watch his tape, I always said Franklin is more than any coach in football. When people joke about coaches needing talent to win games, Franklin is the polar opposite of what Joe Paterno was. Joe Paterno would take a 3-star guy and make him play like an NFL player. You go watch. I used to watch our 80s games of Penn State playing against Miami, playing against these, and it was amazing what they were doing with 3-star guys out there. But you watch the tape and it's like the exact opposite with James Franklin. It's he has to, if he doesn't have a 5-star guy lined up across from the other guy, he's losing. That's all it is. And make no mistake, Saquon Barkley, Allen Robinson, guys like that were bailing him out of his mistakes a lot.
Yeah, your team, the Eagles, Aaron, they have Jahan Dotson, who is a freak, Derek Williams type, Saquon, and then they have like their whole defense is from Georgia, pretty much.
Yeah, we basically just we asked Kirby Smart for help.
Yeah,
but we like our Pennsylvania and Georgia kids. Which is
for sure
very at home for me because I lived in Georgia for a while. So Pennsylvania and Georgia is one of my homes away from home.
So you're right. Like John Carter, a lot of people don't know this. When he came to Penn State, he was a 3-star linebacker. And he finished second in the Heisman voting at running back and was the first overall pick. My favorite player of all time, Mark Rubin, he started as like a 3-star, maybe wide receiver. And then he moved to safety, and he was a starting safety. A.Q. Shipley started at D tackle, and he ended at center as an All-American. That's because Joe Paterno knew how to coach. So, yeah.
But, and he knew how to get the most out of guys. He could see a guy's talent and kind of say, well, I know you're a D tackle, man, but I think you make a really good center. And he was just really good at that. And then coaching him into that new position.
Yeah, his recruiting philosophy was, can you play football? He recruited athletes. That's what he did. Yep. Several examples of athletes like a Mark Rubin or a Justin King or an A.J. Wallace. One of the best examples is Chaz Powell. He played everywhere. I mean, he played everywhere, and then he ended as a starting corner at the end. So he just recruited athletes. I mean, there's so many examples of guys that started somewhere and went there, went here, went there. I mean, Kajana Carter, that's an insane story. He came in as a linebacker. Are you kidding me? Then he turned him into John Capoletti, the Heisman winner at a running back, was a corner at one point. So, yeah, he was that is a great point. He was the total opposite of Joe Paterno. It's insane. You guys have anything else to say about Terry?
Terry's the man. He's that
Second.
guy. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, and it, what Matt did, handing out those signs, and I made that short. I made that reel just to give Terry praise, and it got a lot of views, and I'm happy about that because that means it's given Terry more praise that he fully deserves. So he deserves all the credit in the world. Let's just finish strong here. So